This meeting is being transcribed and summarized.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the regular scheduled Water Bureau meeting of Monday, November 17th, 2025 at 4:03. Call this meeting to order. We have public comments related to agenda items. Anyone? Either here or on the phone? Being none, move on next to the Independent Consumer Advocate comments and questions related to agenda items. Liz, are you there?
No.
No? Okay. Approval of the meetings, minutes of September 29th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any additions, subtractions, comments related to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Peter?
I asked about why the thing I asked for the previous meeting wasn't on there.
And it's on this one?
It's on this one, but it wasn't in the meeting minutes that I asked for that.
I got you.
The second time.
Okay, so we'll amend that to include those comments. Anything else? Anyone else? Seeing none. All those in favor as minutes as adjusted, all please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Aye.
Thank you, Bud. Consideration potential action regarding the 2026 district water rates. Who will that be?
Kelly Shank.
Kelly, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm here to just go over the water rates, the differences or the proposed 26 rates that have changed. We did have a public meeting on November 12th last week where I believe there was one comment, and that was from the Consumer Advocate. So in your packet or in open text, if you're reviewing open text, I can go through the revisions to the district water rates. I don't have a presentation to provide. I thought it would be easiest to go through this revision that you have in front of you. The first change, if everybody's following along, the first change is the customer service charge for water, and it goes by the size of the meter. And what we've done here is we've increased the customer service charge by 75 cents across the board. It's 75 cents a month. This increase is a long time coming. We haven't changed this customer service charge by meter size in 9 years. These have been the same charges that we've made for customer service for the last 9 years. And we changed it across the board, 75 cents. The Consumer Advocate had asked what that difference was. It's about $185,000 for an increase, a 1 cent increase on the water rate. And she had asked during her comments at the public meeting what the increase on the water rate or what the revenue stream was for this change. This change is about $1.1 million in customer service charge revenue when it's across the board for all water meters. So it would equate to a 6 cent increase on the water rate. The second change is the surcharge outside the metropolitan district. So this is for our non-member towns who also get an additional surcharge, and it's the same 75 cents that they get as an additional surcharge, customer service charge. And it's 75 cents across the board for whatever size water meter that they have. The next, are there any questions on the customer service charges?
Quick question, Kelly. I mean,
Yep.
on the monthly billing, I see numbers going down slightly for Farmington.
Yep.
And so we adjusted overall 75 up, but some will be down.
So this is a different charge. If
Okay.
you'd like me to, so the customer
Yeah.
service charges, if we're good with the 75 cents, I'll move on to the, these are the surcharges outside the metropolitan district for capital improvements.
Oh, I got you. Sorry.
So these are the capital improvements that we do for non-member towns on their water infrastructure. And when we complete a project, we will add the cost of that project to those water customers in those member towns, the cost of that project.
Right.
So the only project that we added for 2026, or we're planning to add for 2026, was in Glastonbury, and that's the New London Turnpike water mains. All the others is based on the debt service that we pay for the projects. It's not like a straight line, we put in the project, we pay for it. We've bonded for these projects, so we pay the debt service fees, and it's based on the number of, we do a calculation based on the number of meters within that member town, the number of customers, non-member town, the number of customers. So sometimes the rates go down because the debt service has gone down. We've paid fully for another project. It's come off the debt service, so that's why sometimes the amounts go down, and sometimes when we add a project, the rates go up. As you can see in Glastonbury, the rates have gone up.
Got it.
Thank you, that was good.
Yep. The next charge that's increased is, and we'll go through this, is the private fire protection charge. This is for fire service for our towns, and these are the private fire protection charges. We actually have a calculation that engineering provided to finance for this. It's based on our flow capacity and diameter of the service line, which is why you see it for each size of the connection. What we did was we based it on a 50-cent increase to the fire service charge for our 1-inch meter. And then when we plug that in, the calculation goes based on capacity flow for the other sized meters, and that's how we have this increase per meter size. Per connection size. It's based on capacity and diameter of the service line. And if you need anything further than that, I will have to defer to my engineering friends in the room.
Questions on this one? Peter?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Starting at low diameters, it's not a lot of increase, but how many, 12, 16, 24, 24-inch pipes we have? If you have I'd hate to be unless you got big pockets, it's $1,000 a month increase on a 24-inch
Saw that too.
pipe. So how many of those are there? And do they know they're going to get sticker shock?
Yes, Mr. Chair. So I've said this 1,000 times in our meetings. The MDC, obviously our water rate is based on water consumption. 60% of the revenue that we get from the MDC's consumption is revenue is from consumption, and 40% is based on these fees that we have. And if you look at our counterparts in a regional authority or even Connecticut Water, our fire protection is about 4%. Our revenue that we're suggesting here is about 4% of our water revenue income. Connecticut Water, regional water, they're at 10 or more percent. So we've been trying to right-side this for a number of years, because what's happening is the customer service, the person with a residential home or a small business is paying through their water rate, paying for fire protection for larger companies like Amazon and those kinds of things, that is getting a benefit to the Amazons of the world. Don't help the MDC, right? They don't use a lot of water. There's probably 4 bathrooms for 1 million square feet. They don't use a lot of water, but they have to test their fire protection system on a monthly basis, and they flush that system, and we don't get paid for it. So we started adding fire meters so that we can measure the water coming through the fire protection system, because that's being paid for by everybody else. So cost of service is what we're trying to deal with. So we're simply trying to do is right side the equation of how much does fire service actually cost the MDC to provide to businesses versus should the normal customer homeowner, 60% of the homeowners, residential businesses pay for everybody else's use of fire protection. This is we're looking at roughly 4%. The other businesses are doing 10. And so I think the largest meter, and Dave, the largest meter is probably 12-inch. And that's like that's the hospital at UConn Farmington, right?
Yes.
So they got 12 inches. So we have these rates only because they are what they, but we don't only have how many 12-inch meters, fire meters, do you think we have?
Probably about 10.
10, okay. So-
UConn has 2,
Yep.
or 4 actually.
But we don't have anything larger than that, right?
Not,
Most of the time when you're dealing with a fire service that large, you're talking about having to build a much bigger fire protection tank somewhere on site because we just can't handle the need.
no. The majority of fire services are 8 to 10.
Does that answer your question, Peter?
Yeah, it does add, it does answer the question. So we don't have any 16s or 20s or
No.
24s, and
No.
it's the fat cats in the state government that's just going to take our money anyhow.
Exactly. Yeah. And honestly, that's why we asked the board and you approved. We started adding fire meters back in 2019. And the answer is we got Amazon not using any water, but they're 1 million square feet. They're a massive service to us, but they use their water in a way of testing their fire protection, but they're not paying for it. So we started adding fire meters. And so that was a way to help the other water customer pay, to be subsidized by people using water for fire protection.
And I would think, Peter, coming from Weathersfield, where we don't have much of any businesses, that this would be good for us.
Well, when I was on the high school building committee, we were told by the fire marshal we had to make the standpipes 8 inches and not 6 inches.
Right, larger, right?
you go.
And then test it. Like, it's not just a matter of making the pipes bigger. You have to flush that system and make sure that alarm system works correctly on a monthly basis. And that costs money by flowing water through the system. And we were not capturing that. Never mind capturing it. We talk about reporting to PURA and reporting to ourselves about how much lost water. We know how much we build. We know how much we produced, but how much did we lose through this simple process of testing fire protection systems? It's a very important component.
Yeah, well, you say it, we weren't capturing that. Were they working around the meter or something?
No, there's no meter. So
Oh,
if
okay.
you're flushing your fire protection system and you have a separate fire protection line, which is required by code 1998, Dave, you were required to have 2 services to the building. So you have a main in the street, MDC water main. You have a fire protection line required by code, and then you have a private domestic line. But only a meter on the domestic. Any water that you took from the fire side was not recorded, right?
Right out of the system.
Right.
Got it.
So,
All right, very good. Good job. All right, go on, Kelly, please keep going.
Sure. The ordinance change that we're showing here, W1B, the customer service charge, again, is the same customer service charge we already talked about, the 75 cents. And then this is still on 5-4. At the bottom is section W1C, the surcharge outside the metropolitan district. And if you'll recall, we brought forward a change to the ordinance to exclude meters that we do install on dedicated fire services. So we're excluding the non-member town surcharge from for the meter charge. So we don't charge a second customer service charge to the non-member towns for fire meters as well as their domestic line.
Got it.
So while we do meter those services as we continue to add them sometimes, so that we do get the consumption, we're not, as you've already passed through, this is the change to that ordinance.
Gotcha.
And the same goes for W1F, which is the non-member town surcharge outside the district for capital improvements. We proposed that we exclude meters installed on dedicated fire services. So those fire services don't get charged for the non-member town capital charge, and we take those meters off so that we're not charging a customer with a domestic line the capital charge for charge for both their domestic line and if they have a fire meter, we're not charging for another capital charge.
All right.
So that ordinance change, W1F, is just excluding the fire service meters on a dedicated fire line. That way, all of your non-member town and member town are charged the same for fire services.
Any question before we go to 6.6-1?
We need somebody to make a motion and then vote on those rates.
Okay, can we have a motion to approve these new rates as outlined?
Move to approve.
Second. Very good. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we go to 6.1.
Would you like me to go forward with
please.
item 6?
Please do.
Okay. Item 6 is the revisions to water assessment rates and miscellaneous water charges. The first item here, that was also presented at the public hearing. The first item in the water assessment rates here on 6-1, this is actually not necessarily changes to rates. It's more a change to the way we present the rates. So we used to provide service taps on our meters to include both the service tap and the meter itself, correct? The installation of that meter. So if you'll see all the items that are crossed out, the domestic includes spacer and meter costs, along with the service tap by size of service tap and meter. What we're doing here is we're separating the service tap by size of service tap and meter that we're installing. So if you look, you actually could do the math. If you're doing a 1-inch service tap with a 5-inch meter, if you do the math here, it's 550 plus 360, it still comes to 910. But it's easier for us in billing to make sure that we have the right combination of the size of the meter with the size with the tap charge. And if you need a further explanation, I could have Dave come up. But that's really what we're doing, is just dividing this up instead of combining the costs into one.
Questions, anyone? Okay,
The next change under hydrants is simply our hydrant maintenance cost. Every year, we try to go up a little bit to get to what the actual cost is to maintain a hydrant for our towns and also our private hydrants. Right now, I believe we've come to the cost of about $185 a hydrant, and so we were at $165 this current year, and we bring it up about $5 a hydrant. So this year, we're proposing $170 a hydrant. And this increase is slowly to get to that actual cost, which we will get there. The next page, all of these changes are really to accurately reflect the costs that we've done a cost of service, as Scott had mentioned earlier. A lot of this is material costs have gone up, and so we're changing the costs of these meters If there's a replacement or a damage to a district meter, the cost of the material, the cost of the meters is going up and has gone up. And so we're basing this in a hydrant meter assembly. Is really, the cost of that hydrant meter assembly is $3,250. So we've been still keeping the hydrant meter deposit at $2,000, and if somebody doesn't return that hydrant meter at the end of their project or whatever, we lose $1,250. So we're increasing the cost of the hydrant meter assembly to the true costs of the material, the hydrant meters themselves, and the deposit to go along with it. So then, therefore, if a developer doesn't return a hydrant meter after using it, and the spacer and all that goes with it, we will at least recoup the cost of that meter. Also, the cost of the meters themselves, and you can see here, the cost of the meters themselves have gone up, and we're just literally replacing as well as the transponders. We're just increasing to the cost of those transponders through our contracts to replace that equipment. Any questions?
One?
If we go to page 6-3, the lien release fee, I believe it's been $90 for several years. John Myrtle can attest to that. And we're raising that rate by $10. The water turn-on after shut-off for non-payment, again, the cost of the shut-off and things that go with that, it's cost us more than we've been charging for that turn-on and shut-off. We're bringing that up to the more in line with the cost, not quite the cost that it actually costs, but there's a fee for turning on after we shut off a customer. And the first violation, the reason for the second violation going up is commensurate with the cost that we had prior. And it's a deterrent to do it twice in the same year. We don't like to shut off a customer, turn them back on with a payment plan, and if they, a reasonable payment plan after they've made a payment, and then have them be in line to be shut off again. That's after 3 late payment notices. It's pretty hard to do, but we have customers that happens with. There's a lot of administration there, and we're trying to deter customers from doing that repeatedly. The $200 fee for a service call, always with the district, the first service call is free of charge, and I believe that is annually or on a rolling 12 months. But the second time we're asked out for the same reason after we've resolved it the first time, we're asking for an increase to that fee from $125 to $200. And then service calls after normal working hours, although we go every time, as Scott has said many times, there is a cost to bringing in folks in the middle of the night and on weekends. And so we want to increase that fee from $415 to $550. And those, again, are all cost of service related fee changes.
Kelly, are those, if, I assume when they're on the public's property as opposed to our property or our, right away?
These are on private property.
Private
Yeah,
property.
yep, customers' properties.
Got it. Questions, anyone?
If I may, most of the time this charge is to the contractor doing work on the private property,
Oh, okay.
not the homeowner.
Oh, okay.
So homeowner is doing some work on their water service, and they're asking us to come out and do the inspection because we are required, and they know we're required to do the inspection. So it's a way to recover our costs for doing the inspection of a private contractor doing work on private property.
Makes sense.
Thank you. The bulk water convenience fee. So we've had the $75 per load for the trucks that come in, like the pool trucks and others that come in.
At the pool, man.
Yeah. That come in and take a tank full of water. We've had that $75 fee for several years since we instituted it, and we did a survey of the market, other water companies, and found that they're charging much more. And we're trying to bring that in line without breaking the bank for others, bringing that in line with other water companies, which brings that to $100 per load. And the water service installation charge has been $150 per foot, and we're raising that to $180 per foot. That's the install from the customer's water service from the public water main to the property line. And that has been $150, I believe, for a long time? 3 years. And we're proposing changing that to $180, and again, based on cost of service for the district. And I believe that's the end
Yep.
of the rate changes on the water side.
Questions, anyone? Is that, we have a motion on this one, or?
We need somebody to make a motion.
Yeah, can we have a motion then to
Approve.
Thank you. We got a motion and a second. No further discussion. If there is none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have consideration of potential action regarding 2026 water assessment rates. Oh, no, we just did that, right?
Yep.
Discussion regarding the Tungus Club lease. That would be Attorney Stone.
I wish there was something I could tell you about that, Mr. Chairman, but Crestone District Council, we have had, the MDC has had a longstanding lease with the Tungus Club in Tolland, Massachusetts, and I want to say longstanding, several decades. The lease that we presently have in place expired in 2023. They continue to occupy the property. This is property up in Massachusetts that is part of our watershed system, that is part of the over 20,000 acres that we own in Connecticut and Massachusetts to support our water infrastructure. They lease several hundred acres of land from us. It serves as a hunting / club in Massachusetts. They, in effect, they provide some service to us. They see to the property. They use the property as they're allowed to use it, and they provide some oversight to the property that is, basically far outside our usual authority or usual property that we maintain. But that being said, the lease is up, and I wanted to bring this to, it was on the board agenda, I think for the Bureau's agenda, the last meeting. It's on again today, just as an update, and basically to inform you that the lease is expired. And there's a decision to be made initially by this board as to whether to continue or not continue that lease. If you were to continue the lease, as to what terms would be incorporated into a revised or new lease. What I'm really looking for today is some direction, formal or informal, from this body to move forward, to reach out to the Tungus Club to see if they want to renew it or not, and if they want to renew it, under what terms they'd be willing to agree to. I will tell you that right now, the financial benefit to the MDC is that they pay, in lieu of any rent, they pay whatever taxes might be owed on the property. I will tell you that, and this is my opinion, it's not policy, it's just my opinion, they may be paying something less than what would otherwise be fair market value for the use of this property, but I'll leave that to this board to determine. But I think the first step is to reach out to the Tungus Club. I don't want to assume their interest, but let's assume that they're interested in renewing a lease, and then discuss the terms of the lease, and then bring them back to the board.
Commissioner DeBella.
Chris, is that for, they allow hunting on that, right?
Correct.
Isn't there think it was in the paper today, they were talking about, there's an app now where people lease properties for hunting purposes. Connecticut, obviously, it's somewhere around 1% of the available land is for hunting, but that app, have we looked at a relative relationship?
I don't know what the app, I don't even know what the app is because I'm not a hunter in Connecticut.
Well, I'm not either.
I don't know, I certainly don't know what the app is or what the applicability of that app would be in Massachusetts. They're obviously allowed to hunt by the MDC, but that's obviously subject to whatever the rules and regulations are within the state of Massachusetts. So I don't,
This app is a national app in every state in the country.
So you're saying you would want to compare that versus
You own a
what they're
piece of
paying us?
property,
Mhm.
what you can do is you can put it onto this app
You get paid.
and get paid for the utilization. Because hunting, there's a limited amount of hunting, like I think it's 1% of the properties in is it 1% in, I guess, yeah, the number of permits are out is 1% of the total population of people relative to that. It was an interesting article.
well, in our discussion with, I need to get some direction on whether we want to pursue this, an extension or not. I think it probably is in our best interest to at least hear what they have to say and what they have to offer to continue the lease. And then I'll come back to you and we can decide where you want to go.
Buddy, you have a question? I see your hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We actually did meet with these people, a long time ago, more than 20 years, maybe 25 years ago, or established a new lease. And
Randy P.
so it's my understanding that, if we didn't lease it to them, what would happen? I mean, do they, because they lease it from us, do they accept any liabilities for certain things or activities? Do they become responsible for certain things when they lease it from us? And if they don't lease it from us, then who does those things?
Well, if I might, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman.
please, Chris, go ahead.
Thank you. Chris Stone, the last time we had a renewal of the lease, we imposed certain obligations on them to provide for insurance, liability insurance, et cetera, for what they do on our property, and they've secured that, and they've had that. If they were not in play, and not to suggest that we don't provide some oversight of that property anyway, but I assume that would be some additional obligation on us to, oversee the property, to maintain the property, and to make sure that the property is being used for the purposes for which it's intended, et cetera. But I'm not suggesting that our additional obligations should drive the decision here. The decision is really whether you want to pursue a lease with a private club that engages in certain activities on our property that you may or may not want, or at least you may want to start the discussion about whether to continue that use with them going forward. So the comments are well taken. We made adjustments for that, or considered that back in, I think it was 10 years ago now, quite frankly. It was a while ago. But it's a new day, right? The lease is up and a decision has to be made going forward. And all the things that Commissioner Salemi brought up are things we have to consider as we go forward.
Right. Buddy, do you have something further to add?
Mr. Chairman, I'd say that I think we should pursue the lease again with them and see what they have to say. I think that they do provide some service, even if it's just, managing who can, whether people are trespassing or hunting without licenses or whatever. I mean, I think that they do pursue some activities that we would have to try to accomplish without them. But that being said, you know, I'm not willing to try to put values on all those things, just it's a consideration. But I would pursue the lease again at this point. I'd ask them what they think they'd like to do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Bud. Peter, you had a follow-up?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are they paying the taxes?
Yes.
All right. I would suggest give them the same deal. Do you have a phone number for them? Do you know who to talk to?
It's interesting you should ask that question because we have a couple phone numbers for them. We've called those numbers over the past month or so because this was on the agenda last meeting. They're not in service. So we tried to reach out. I think a formal, statement, either by consensus or otherwise, that we should at least move forward to discuss that. You know, that'll increase our attempts to get through to them. We just haven't had any luck so far. They have a website, Commissioner, that is, put it mildly, under-updated. The information we have is only from the Massachusetts Secretary of State's office. They're registered as a nonprofit with the Secretary. They have to list their budgets and all the other particulars about the organization. We've never received that. We know of it from accessing the websites, but we will make a more concerted effort to contact them and reach out to them, and hopefully we can get to the point where we have some understanding and agreement on where we go moving forward. And that's not just in terms of the terms of the lease, but we also got, the specific provisions of a renewal of a lease. But it's also, more importantly, the term, because we have a lot of leases, as you know, Commissioner, a lot of leases out there on various properties and that go on for a long time. And maybe we should think about shortening, at least my suggestion would be, shortening the term of those leases, maybe get some renewals in there, but shortening the terms so that we can, at least we're reminded that we need to revisit these things.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Couple of things. I think we said that these people pay the taxes. Is that correct?
Yes.
And if we can't reach them, I would suggest that we send a certified letter of some type or kind to the party to whom the tax notices are delivered.
Very good.
Indicating basically that we need to contact them and engage in whatever discussions or negotiations to carry it forward. Because if the phone numbers aren't working, I would imagine the taxing authorities would have the most current contact information.
Good point. Good point. Commissioner DeBella?
How big did you say that piece was?
How what?
How large was it?
How big is that piece, John?
20 acres?
Sure. It's more than that. It's over 100 acres. It's
Oh, no, it's like 1,800 acres.
it's not insignificant. It's not insignificant.
That's
Um,
pretty.
Yes.
And
Commissioner.
I think it's certainly the consideration they pay in terms of our tax obligation is one thing. The indemnity they have now and the insurance they have now is another thing. And Commissioner Taylor's right. We're gonna step up our efforts to contact an actual individual that we can speak with. But also, in terms of what Commissioner Salemi was referring to, there's a certain value. When you have vacant property, activity on vacant property tends to be a disincentive for others to
Use it.
misuse
it.
our property. So, all that being said, and I think I would think, given the amount of time, decades that they've had the privilege at a price, but to occupy these premises, then I think they're going to be interested in renewing at some point. So we'll step up the efforts to Commissioner Taylor's suggestion. We'll step up the efforts to contact them and come back to you with where
good.
they are.
Chairman Kerry, you had a point?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just follow up on Commissioner Taylor, and I agree that maybe go through Massachusetts taxes, but Commission. I'm assuming, Scott, through you, Mr. Chair, there's no building or anything on this because it's watershed property. Do we know if Tuxas
If there was
Club
some-
has a building,
I think they do
a
have.
clubhouse?
Yeah, so, as part of this process, Tom Tyler, we sent our staff out there to make sure that the property is being maintained. And I'm gonna guess at the numbers, Tom, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. The pond which has the lake properties on is not ours, right? There's about adjacent, they own a certain amount of property. And we own about 2,000 acres?
A bit less, but that's about right.
About 2,000. Their lease is in part, not all of, but about 1,800 acres. So they are leasing about 80% of our property, which does not have a building on it. There's no, the buildings that are on the properties are on their property.
They're contiguous.
And my only point here is that, based on the numbers that I saw, they're leasing about 80, plus or minus, they're leasing about 80% of the property, but they're only paying about 50% of the tax. So my point is, they should pay at least 80%, I mean, at least 80% of the tax of what we're paying. And John, did you have those numbers, the tax numbers that, yeah, I mean,
I think the total is, it's about 28,000 per year, and so they're paying half of that.
they're paying half. So they got 80% of the property, but they're only paying 50% of the tax. So our position would be, at least they should pay 80, whatever the portion of the property that they're leasing, they should pay that portion of the tax. So that's kind of where we're trying to go.
Okay, but I think the general consensus here is that we should allow Chris to proceed, with all these, with all these suggestions in mind.
Maybe Scott and I should take a ride up.
Yes, yes.
With your guns.
Absolutely.
I want
With
to
your
violate
guns.
the lease.
With your guns.
You'd have to go on the 20%.
You've got to think about this, right? So we're providing 80% of our property to a very small entity that has access, so the public doesn't have access to this 80% of the property that they have sole access to. So why shouldn't they pay 80% of the taxes, right?
But it's only fair.
Why? Or more, right? Or more.
Okay, Chris? All right, I'm sorry, one more.
I would just piggyback on what Scott said. Knowing what some hunters pay to lease property, 28,000 or 25,000 for 1,800 acres would be a real steal. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's a
cost
steal.
of leasing property that hunters pay for good deer hunting property, it's phenomenal.
Cool. Yeah, so we don't want to overcharge and then drive them away, then have to be totally responsible for taking care of that property.
That's the other side of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Rent it for.
But there's,
Right, but that's why we hire you, Chris.
there you go.
Okay.
So we'll get, thank you for that, and assuming there's no objection, we'll reach out, increase our efforts to reach out, and hopefully have a conversation with the Tungus Club between now and the next meeting, and be able to report back.
Very good. Okay, item 8 is the discussion regarding the Portland agreement. Who's got that?
Yes, if I may.
Please.
Chair.
Mr. Chairman, I would move we go into executive session for this. We are in negotiations. I'm a bit surprised that some of the information that's on the table over there is open to the public since we're still in negotiation. In fact, we have a meeting scheduled with Portland
On
on
Thursday?
the 20th.
Yeah, 20.
So
Okay. Is there's any objection to going into executive session? Do we have to,
Under the statute, you can go in based upon a pending claim for water service. Some of the information that was provided before will obviously be provided again. That was all in public session, but I understand that the chair's concern or issue, but, so we can. I think, obviously necessary for the discussion. My suggestion, at least, it's up to you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Is myself, Mr. Jellison, is Chris Levesque here?
No, but Susan.
You tell me who you want.
Yeah, I would say Susan and Dave Ruddy and Kelly.
Okay.
Okay.
with your permission, Mr. Chairman, those people can stay.
Okay.
And then we'll have our, John too, because he
Yeah.
serves double purpose here.
Okay.
And obviously, what's that? Only committee members, yeah.
People on the phone, Bud, you're on the phone. You're gonna have to call.
Yeah, no, I'm online. If you're gonna be in executive session, how do I stay in it? That's all Is there instructions or I just stay online here or what?
You just stay on and I'll be able to pull everyone on the committee into the executive session. And Commissioner Buell, you're on the phone number that ends in 25, is that right?
No, 001.
Okay, okay.
You talking about the phone number?
Yeah, I got you, Commissioner Buell.
Non-committee members cannot be
Okay.
part of this.
Correct.
You've changed that. It's-
Yes. So I know Commissioner Curry made the motion to go into executive session. We need to vote
Second.
to do it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
All right, and then just give me one moment to pull people online.
Okay.
The reason was
Yep, recording.
We got a quote?
Good.
We got a quote, I mean.
people.
Okay, so somebody makes a motion.
Okay, so can I have a motion to move out of executive session?
So moved.
Second.
I move we come out of executive
Favor?
session.
Aye. Okay, so we have in front of us a water agreement for the town of Portland. Can I have a motion?
Make your motion.
I'll move to,
Okay, Commissioner Gale?
what am I moving to do?
We're gonna move to extend the current agreement, right?
June 30th?
We're moving to extend the current agreement with the town of Portland until June 30th, after which, so that current agreement would extend till June 30th, after which, as of July 1, option 1 is set forth by the CEO would be in place for any additional water Portland wanted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further debate? No, thank you. Everybody, all is in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Excellent,
Opposed?
thank you.
Motion
Thank you
carries.
very much.
Okay, okay, we'll move on that. Wind it up. Okay, option,
Move to adjourn.
okay, six. Do we have a second?
That's
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
It's not debatable.
Good, thank you.